strictly government regulated or a profession that is business oriented, then that's a problem.
Are we a profession? Think about it.
Thank you. I think what I'd like us to again imagine is, what if, I mean, we've talked about the APCON Council not being in place. But let's just imagine for a moment if this situation continues in the next 4 years. And then what happens if we get a new minister after 4 years? And we are still in the same situation from an interest point of view from government. Are we still going to have another conference to talk about the need for government to listen to us? I think my point is really around us thinking about the profession as businessmen, not just as advertising practitioners, and approaching it from that standpoint, where we can, quote unquote, have our own council. Although it might sound crazy, I know there are limits from a legal and legislative standpoint, but I also know that even if we have a council in place and it's political, because I believe we've had times in the past when I remember growing up in the industry where we felt maybe the registrar wasn't appropriate. So when we get into a situation where we are in that kind of dilemma, what do we do? The point I'm trying to make is, as an industry, we need to take the bull by the horn and take the right steps to address the issues that affect the industry and let the government meet us on the journey to doing that rather than waiting for the government, is the point I'm trying to make. You asked a question around payment and stuff, and I'd like to just respond very quickly to that. I think as business owners, I use myself as an example now. Starting an agency a few years ago, I went to speak with my mentor and said this is what I was contemplating. And he said to me, two things are important in this agency business. One, you need to be a professional. And secondly, and this is someone who's done about 25 years in the industry, and he said the second is you need to be a cowboy. So I was surprised by the second one. So yes, we're a professional. And when he was explaining the need to be a cowboy, then he went into the details of thinking of going beyond the brief and the things you need to do. And then that raised a lot of questions for me. So I think that's part of the challenge we have in the industry. We need to look at ethics and standards as very critical in running our businesses. So that question is critical. What are the standards, and how do we as sectorial bodies put in place these standards and ensure two things: one, compliance, and secondly, enforcement. I think on those two, I'd just like to take a break.
Whether they pay on time, man using English, let's clap for him all the same. I can boldly say that I used to pay Kelechi Nwosu. I used to pay small money, 1994. This is small money. Well, friends, I just want to switch gears. I hope you're getting some sense of direction, because that paper for me was more strategic. And that's why I started by saying, I believe there are things that Lulu did not say that he said, and we need to just pull them out. And I like the fact that Femi has zeroed in. I sat there and I said, what if the council, we don't have no council in 4 years? Are we going to be, a weak not child? The man, is he still alive? I don't know. Weak not child. So can I say to the industry, weak not child? Can we just sit back and say, what do we do differently? And then part of what Lulu professed was suggestions to the government. And that's where I want to land the next sector before I go into the audience. It's part of our indiscipline is in our country. Don't worry. It was just wondering. He did. One of the major things he put on the table was having a federal ministry of public communication, and he went through it and talked about the possibilities and what it can do, being able to drive an agenda for social mobilization, reviewing the National Communication Policy, 1987 as dated, and then development of the National Strategic Communication Plan. I want to put this to the panelists, and again, I'm going to start from someone who I consider quite irreverent in his thinking, and I want him to look at it, the paper in that context. Do we need a change of ministry name from information and culture to public communication? And then you still have the same infrastructure and infrastructure and structure, because the mindset is the main infrastructure. Or do you think, given the way the speaker put all of that across, it can help in driving this other part, which is the tail part of his paper, which has to do with Nigeria's socio-economic development? It's that critical. And Larry Adisa, I'd like you to look at that point. And once you're done, I'll go to Steve, and then at that point I'll know how to swing it. Larry.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's a good suggestion, but I'm afraid, looking at the context of things and where we are, it's dead on arrival. Looking at how people have pecuniary issues to attend to.
Why have you said the honorable minister?
Yeah. So, like somebody said, he was so sure the minister will not show up. The first thing that will happen, and now why it's going to be a problem for starters is, remember that very recently the Minister of Communication was given a new nomenclature, Minister of Communication and Data, digital economy. So, meaning that even on the part of government, there is that notion that we need to really key into where things are. I think the disposition to information management in Nigeria at the moment is really outdated in the real sense of it. Even in the UK, there's an Office of Information and all that. But it needs to be more alive to where things are. It is not about, and that's why I really shudder at the frenzy about, what's it called? The drive to tame, social media, freedom of information and all that. You cannot do that. You cannot. In any nation, the US or wherever and all that, you cannot. You have to find a way of engaging with it. So even the structure as it were of the Ministry of Information is outdated.
I didn't want to use those words.
Yes, but that is the reality. So, but I do understand and I do agree that we need to find a way of tapping into the abundance of data to better our lot, to make things work better for us. We don't need government to look at America. That's what I find interesting. But for the fact that there are institutions that have been oiled over time, America will be in a deeper problem than they are now. And the American president by law is given so much power. But what has happened over time is that there's also a culture of restraint, where I know that I have this power, but I don't have to use it. So what they're experiencing for now is that they have somebody who has the power who wants to use it. So the institutions have to be stronger to tame it. Now we're heading in that direction, unfortunately, and that's what we don't get as a people. And we can be open with ourselves. When I saw the quote from the president when he was questioned about this short-term issue, and he said, "Oh, I don't have any such plan, and because I don't, I can afford to be reckless." That is scary, and that's why, in the scheme of things, we may just be this minuscule in the real sense of it.
But we don't exist.
We may not just exist. There are a lot of issues, but I agree with you. Communication must work with, and the people we're dealing with. Look at the fintech industry. Look at the young people out there. Who is really leveraging what we should to make life better for us? Nobody. If you join them together as Minister of Communication, public communication, if the mentality is still the same of this pecking order of this and that, of where they are now, little will change. And I think back to where we started from, there's need for us as a people and as an industry to work towards more of self-regulation.
Thank you.
Let us learn from the Nollywood industry. Nollywood did not wait for anybody. Not all of them were skilled, but they knew they had to get the skills, so they went to school. So they moved from quantity to quality. When I go to the cinemas, I feel very happy that 90% of the films being shown are from Nigeria. And it's from self-regulation. We need to work in that regard. Even in the UK, there's a shadow cabinet. Can we have a shadow council, for God's sake? So that on our own, we have a council, whether you recognize it by law or not, we're moving towards forward.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
I told you there were things you did not want to say.
Larry raised an important issue, and I can be open with everyone here. A couple of years back, Sir Steve will remember, we seriously debated pulling APCON out of government. We were that close to it. Some people said, but if you do, how about the power that being part of government, being a regulator, you're going to lose that power. And we looked at many things that, yeah, we could. The biggest challenge we have with APCON is because government gives us money. They want to direct what we do, honestly. But I know from, and I think Alatika can we are not even getting any money. We were in Senate together. I don't want to tell you how much they offered us. When we came out, I told the Alagi, I said, I'm not coming back here with you next time. Now, that's on one side. APCON can raise a lot of money. APCON can do a whole lot. But APCON is being treated like a parastatal. APCON is not a parastatal. APCON is not a parastatal. Even though we fall under, we are higher than parastatals. And that's why when they take our board and dissolve, it's because the same government who set us up doesn't understand what we do. APCON is not a parastatal at all. APCON is 1 or 2 steps higher than a parastatal. It's supposed to be. And we can generate abundantly more if we don't have to go back to the big brother. But we also enjoy one thing. By using that crest, and saying part of Ministry of Education, it helps our enforcement. So that was where the debate ended then. Now what do we do? If we pull out of it, are we still going to be able to enforce? We looked at ICANN, we looked at various models. See, it's unfair to compare us with ICANN. Let me tell you what, ICANN has numbers. ICANN has so much money. I'm privy to at least how much they make every year. Look at even the issue of AAAN presidency. So I still remember I did a paper to the Board of Trustees and I expressed my doubt that at the rate we were going at 2 terms for a president, we would run out of good people. We're a small industry. APCON can afford to have one person do 1 term, and for 200 years they'll have people. So I suggested to Sir Steve and Steve that can we extend to 2 terms of 4 years? I was going to carry this through the same Abuja, but I ran as president that year. And if I pushed it, it would look as if I was already thinking of 10-year elongation. So I pushed back, but I didn't stop. I still did a memo to the association and the Board of Trustees, and I'm happy that today, I think we have a law that says our president can do 2 terms, 2 years of 2 terms, which is so that we can groom people. It's not just enough to say we have a president, but that a president that can act like Sir Steve and the rest of them, Mr. Oborode. It's very critical for us. So at some point, we must agree, we must debate it. Are we going to remain in government and use the power of government? Or are we going to say we pull out of government, we set up, somebody said shadow, are we going to tell government, we don't want to be part of you anymore. But are we going to still have the power of regulation?
Thank you. Well, thank you very much, David. You all enjoyed his stand-up act, and that means I'm going to take that time back and go into, not that what he said didn't make sense, It just means that we are now beginning to get into the real issues and strategically begin to deal with them. And I hope you're not losing sight of all of that. I'll allow Sir Steve, make his statement, and we'll come back.
Now, I want to help Lanre and Lulu. Truth of the matter is, pretty soon you may not have a Ministry of Information. And we are tending towards that. The government deliberately wants to strengthen communication. Under communication, you end up with a propaganda department. That's where the people like Line will survive. You know? So we have to start taking ourselves far more seriously. Okay? Whether it's advertising or marketing communication, it is we, the practitioners, that really matter, not the nomenclature. And so there's a lot of work ahead of us. Now, to be or not to be, we have labored so much on the APCON issue. The truth of the matter is, in one breath, we need the protection of the coat of arms and all the powers it gives us to regulate. But on the other hand, the guys who handed over that power to us now say, sorry, I'll pull it out of your hands anytime that I want to. And that's what's happening now. We don't have an APCON. Some of them don't even know what we do, who we are, and what we try to achieve. No, we are not APCON. They are not APCON. So, gentlemen and ladies, it all sounds, I'm happy we are all very animated about this thing. But let's go back to our various sectors. Fortunately, we have the head of advertising sectorial groups. Please come together. I don't know when last you met. All the issues raised in that paper and all the discussions you've had, that's where our future belongs. If at one point in time, you guys say, APCON is no longer where our future lies, come back with some, really, really strategic paper as to where we should go next. Or what do we do to transform APCON? To transform APCON into exactly what we want. I mean, we need it. That's our future. I mean, look at all the gentlemen here. Suddenly you want to kill the industry? What do you say to your children? We really need to come out strong and strategic as to where our future belongs. But really, it must be something very positive and very strategically positioned so that one day when some of us are also retiring, you hand over a veritable profession and business, to our offsprings. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sir Steve. So grateful, sir. Thank you. Well, folks, at this point, let me transit one house, please. One house, please. I'll transit into your
7 minutes.
No, Mr. MC. This thing here, I've been looking at it. 7 plus 5. The 5 minutes Lulu took. I have 12 minutes, and the 12 minutes by extension will make it 15. Because I said the audience will pay for it. We are businessmen, we must think business. And we'll go for lunch, but these are critical issues, folks. And I'm glad that we are steering it in the right direction. So permit me as I get into some of the questions from the floor. The one I have here says, if advertising, from a Lucky, says, if advertising is a profession, what are we, the professionals and the regulatory bodies, doing to ensure that all that practices advertising are professionals and not quacks? I think we've dealt with that. When are we going to be taken seriously like other professional bodies like NBA, NMA, Korean, etc.? I think that has been successfully dealt with. I have another here that says an observation. The Nigerian government has no interest in the advertising industry. One would expect the PANSEC or senior executives to be part of the plenary. They don't care, and we don't need them to progress. On this sheet, I have on this sheet of paper, there's a difference between sheet and sheet. Kayode is looking for my. You won't get it now. Will our industry ever enforce rejection fees? Question. Number 2, what plans do we in bracket APCON, have to make the profession of practice attractive to the new generation? Now after this, I'm not taking any more again. I don't close. The third one here says, who will protect agencies from, I don't know what this word is. I could struggle between rogue, but it doesn't look like rogue clients. So that's hate speech. And hate speech. So it will not be attended to because I'm the one representing the client here. And you know, just to speak to it, friends, as I listen all the time, yeah, I'm neutral. I told you I was feeling positive and negative. To keep it. Is it better that we also look for a way to extend the frontiers of brotherhood? Many times you guys tend to talk to the clients and call them names and all that. That's why they don't sponsor. Look at your brochure. It's only MTN there and NASCO. Is that what you need? The answer is no. Even amongst yourselves, you can't even raise enough capital. And look at inside here, just 5 clients alone would have bankrupted us. But whenever we talk about sectoral groups, we only think of AAA and food for thought. So nobody will protect you from rogue clients because you don't even recognize them. That's the answer. But I think the only question I see here is, will our industry ever enforce rejection fees? And I would probably leave that to, I will ask Steve to handle that with wisdom. You'll bring the SAR into it for us. Is it actually possible for us to have proper professional practice when the big names and persons rather work with foreign organizations instead of building synergy with smaller advertising or local organizations? That's a question there. That question, Steve Abeko, you deal with that one. Question from Mike. He says, very good paper by Lulu, but we are at a point, according to his paper, where Ifeanyi Chukwu Sylvester Moemeke of blessed memory, his former executive chairman at Lintas, was at the advertising gathering he talked about. What is the place of advertising in the light of AI? Do you know what AI is? Okay. Co-creation, declining remuneration, and clients running their own campaigns. So, Steve, you add it to that one with you, and then you round it. It's efficiency, so that you round it off. Okay, please, in conclusion, we spoke here about new thinking. The ad industry has, okay, this is really coming as an analogy, and I think in closing, that will form part of the closing remarks I'd like to make. This was the last one I got, and I'm going to call the name of the person. His name is K. We call him KC. Our professional recognition is reduced because we avoided the measurement questions. Agencies should pursue how to measure our outputs and outcomes to be recognized like doctors. Actually, it's a comment by KC. So, distinguished audience and panelists, I think the big ticket items for us will be the ones that I've actually segmented. And after that, I would, with your kind respect, give every panelist 30 seconds to wrap up, and then I will then put it up in one word, and we can then leave. So Steve, sir.
Yeah, the question on enforcing rejection fees. I mean, we all have been joined on this same subject for eternity. Councils after councils, ESCOs after ESCOs have done everything within their powers to ensure that agencies go out there and don't just turn ourselves into hungry dogs that clients probably just say, bring your neck and I put a rope and I pull you to wherever I want to pull you to. Lulu's book says so much for those of us who manage to read it. How many times agencies will say no to clients during pitches? And of course, you say no, 2 or 3 people will go out, go behind and say, don't mind them. I can do it without getting a big fee. And so with that playing out, they turn all of us into little chickens that they just, throw all over the place. Again, integrity is for us to handle. If you turn yourselves into beggars, they will throw whatever you want at you. But if we all say no, I mean, you don't need APCON to do that for you. You don't need the government. That is part of the internal strengthening of our profession. That means we now say to ourselves, we are old enough, we are, strong enough to run our agencies and professionally. But if we go looking hungry and looking so unkempt and letting them know that you can't even pay your house rent or pay your salaries, then they will treat us as idiots. So please, let's go back and
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sir Steve.
Thank you,
Junior Steve.
Yes. Thank you, Sir Eddie. The first question says, is it actually possible for us to have proper professional practice when the big names and persons rather work with foreign organizations instead of building synergy with smaller advertising or local organizations? I mean, my immediate response to that will be that, honestly, from day one, I've always felt that there are no small agencies or big agencies. There are only agencies with small ideas. At the end of the day, it's not about the dog in the fight, but the fight in the dog. So, to start even considering yourself as a small agency, I feel it diminishes the value of the dreams that made you start in the first place. So let's just address that big elephant in the room. But I always feel that, look, as an industry, there are new ways to approach this business, and I still think most of us we're still just comfortable in those old ways. If you look at the small tech industry, and I'm sure Mr. Adisa can bear me witness, young boys are raising $5 million, $1 million, Series A, just raising money and building companies that will blow our minds. Why can't we do the same? But you see, there are rules to this game. For you to even go to equity, your hands must be clean. So you've not put your house in order. You want anybody to come and invest money in a company where there's no governance, where you don't even have a P&L, you don't even know how to even, you don't even have an accountant to keep books, So those are the burning issues that we must first address. Mr. Akurumi rightly said, when Martin Sorrell, his very good friend, sold, when he exited the WPP, I think the value of his shares, about 13 million shares that he owns, represented 1% of the total shares that he has, valued at about maybe 80 million pounds. Give me that kind of agency, I would gladly accept it. But if you own 99% of 0 naira, no, it doesn't matter. So I think first and foremost, we must first address some of those things. You have an agency like Drugger 5. Not too long ago, they were just a small agency starting up, disrupting the entire space. Today, they are able to sell to Accenture for about $475 million. That's a lot of money, but first, for you to raise those kind of money, you must first look inward and do the right things and run this industry or your company like a business. For the second question, it says, what is the place of advertising in the light of AI, co-creation, or stakeholder audience participation in the creation of ads, declining remuneration, and the clients running their own campaigns? Again, these are allied questions. I mean, it's still similar. But what you find out, you see, what we've been shouting about new media, digital media, the new media of 2019 is going to become the old media of 2029. There are certain things that will not change. New media will become old media will fade away, but talent, creativity, storytelling, these are universal human skills that will continue to reign and drive this industry. Maybe in 2029 we might even have gone past the debate of should we call ourselves advertising agencies or should we call ourselves communication agencies. It won't matter anymore, which is why if you truly want to last in this business now, you have to look into a way of broadening the scope of your participation. Today, I don't think it's about advertising, I think it's about creating communication. Tomorrow, maybe a client gives you a brief. It might just be a soundtrack. You need a piece of music to tell that story. Do you have that arrow in your quiver to use? It could just be digital led stuff that you need to use, social media. Do you have that arrow in your quiver? So being able to look at a new way of doing this thing will help us. And last point, as an industry, unfortunately, we are always reactive. There's the Continental Free Trade Agreement coming up. How many people have thought what will be the role of advertising and how we're able to export talent in the coming regime where there will be free border and free movement of goods and services? Those are food for thought, and I wish us good luck.
Thank you very much, Steve. A round of applause for Steve. Like I did say, I will most respectfully get each of our panelists. If I'll pass this, I'll start from my boy, Dako Adilago. 30 seconds to wrap up, and then we'll go through, and then we'll go.
Well, I think what you said is good. My expectation is at the end of this event, like Steve advised, the sector is to get together and maybe create another avenue to really discuss some of the issues we've spoken about, capitalization, empowerment, capacity building, shadow council, because I think that self-regulation may ultimately be the lot, and when there's adequate capitalization enforcement will not be a challenge, because many of the reasons for the sharp practices is because of the negative end of operations. So but when there's proper capitalization, when there's rule of corporate governance issues within an organization, the proclivity to break the law will be very diminished. So I think that we should move into another mode of engagement to discuss. So between the next conference, we can begin to see positive outcomes.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Mr. Lara, sir.
Okay, thank you. Quickly, so for me, I'll go back to where we started from. The fact that it's quite amazing to see all of us here together. And I would love for this not to just end as a JoJo session. I would love for this to be the beginning of an umbrella body that combines all the disciplines, and we can canvass our issues and we can become a strong pressure group. It's only when we do that that we can actually have a future going forward. I was telling some of our colleagues of a multinational brand, as multinational as they come. And they have a pitch for West Africa. And they have only 2 agencies pitching this business. And I'm not sure if any of us here has heard of 1 or 2 of them. But even for me, it was the first time I was getting to know about the second one. And that's a sad note for me in terms of where we are. Yeah. How many of such is happening right now? I don't know. Now, that's the future that we face, which is happening now. But it behoves all of us, and I mentioned this at the last session we had, Kipwe, that there's a limit to what we can do as a group. The strength will come from what we do individually in our different businesses. Strengthen what you have. If you think, for instance, back to the issue of merger and acquisition, I don't think it needs for us to say it's only when we put a peg to capitalization. If you are really in this business, not just to put food on the table, if you want to leave a legacy behind. Oh, I remember very well, Gray bought Tim Mellow's agency in the UK because they needed Tim Mellow as a creative. So if you think there's somebody out there that you need, merge or find some way of collaboration. And in fact, even talking about David Droga and Accenture didn't just start now. They had a collaboration for a pitch that did not even work, but they got to understand each other's chemistry. And from there, now they have a different thing going on. So we know ourselves. I mean, there are people we run into each other here and there, but seeing them here together, I feel so elated. What can we do? Can we just do that for this Abuja thing? That from Abuja 2019, we started a journey where we're putting our forces together. Absolutely. And we're really turning ourselves into a strong pressure group. That's what I expect.
You provided a good segue for tomorrow's session, and that will probably be a good linchpin to make it happen. Thank you very much, Larry. Madam.
Legal and ethical issues, he also spoke about very seriously. He defined ethical issues as issues that govern the practice of advertising. Now, going forward, those of us who are here as professionals that we are today, that we recognize that we are, what are we going to do towards reducing the layers of media buying? It comes from you to a broker, to another broker. We're indirectly being the ones as professionals sponsoring quacks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, my final word is innovate or disintegrate. Thank you.
Well, on the final note, I think this kind of event just speaks to the power of what we can do when we all put our heads together.
Absolutely.
Please, a big round of applause to APCON for putting this together.
Thank you.
Because you also realize that APCON did not do it alone. They sought and they got the cooperation of all of the other partners in the sectorial group. And I'm sure if we continue to cooperate and work together, we can move mountains. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay. So I think for me, I just want to reinforce the point around the fact that we can't wait for government. I think that's critical. We need to take leadership and wait for government to catch up with us. We need to have very strong point of view on issues. So all the talks around social media guiding, hate speech, and the decree, the bill that's been sponsored, what has been our response as an industry? What's our point of view? What have we said contrary to what everyone, particularly government, is saying? So again, these are things that will give us a seat on the table. As long as we don't do it, we'll just keep having conferences and making comments and not impacting or affecting the decisions that are taking place. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And last but not the least,
Well, thank you. I think we should use our professional political power, because whether you like it or not, you need professional groups. Like Uncle Steve had said, if every group here, with all their past presidents, their current presidents, to go and meet the very president of this country, at least something will come out of it. That's number one. Then we also just have a regional and national strategy. But we call it National Advertising Conference. Going around, you can see that right now here on the panel, almost everyone here is from Lagos. But you'll be surprised. When I say from Lagos, operating business in Lagos. So, but can I just have my 1 minute? You are taking from my 1 minute. So, you see, it's only the women in the stop. Let me continue. So, the regional, on the most serious, regional strategy, please, more serious, what I'm saying, you must have a regional strategy, because I believe that each group at least state has a different way of practicing advertising, and we must recognize that and still bring it to the center. And then we should also have a group strategy for gender, children, and business. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sincere thanks to all our distinguished panelists and also to our very distinguished audience. When we came up this podium, we came up at 12:39, and it's been very, very mind-boggling, exhilarating, and some of the thoughts have also come through. I want to leave us with one single thought, which more or less encapsulates my key takeaway from what we've said. And the way I'd like to position this is an analogy, and it starts from the bedroom. The bedroom is a place where relationships are built and the future is determined. So you can slice and dice it in a way to say that's where spousal connections happen. Your spouse should be able to tell you your mouth is smelling. And from there, you can deal with it. Is the Oza room is even APCON. You know, but from the bedroom, we need to say some good things. Now, what is our bedroom here? Each of these sectoral groups, before you come together to the living room, couples sort out, when you sort out in the bedroom, everything that you have eyeball to eyeball, it's easier for you to come to the living room where other parties, including the children, your staff, will be able to take your individual DNAs and they'll go back. Let's go back home and talk to ourselves. Triple N, eyeball to eyeball, tell yourselves the truth. Nipan, tell yourselves the truth. Owan, tell yourselves the truth. And of course, Mipan, tell yourselves the truth. Advan, do same. When you finish together, you come to the living room. At the living room is a table of brothers, where you all have your needs all met. And at that point, you'll all agree, we need this cook, we need this steward, and you can order for whatever meal you want, and it will go to the kitchen. The minute it leaves the kitchen, it goes to the dining table. We will all share on the table of brotherhood when we started the bedroom right. So my takeaway from this is about new thinking. Yesterday ended last night, and I believe that enough is enough. Let us stop pointing fingers as what is not. I am part of a movement that starts small, becomes great. I never want to be part of a great movement that never started. I believe today is the best thing that ever happened to this profession. So friends, whatever name and title you want, you can keep the title and give me the money. Thank you so much for the privilege.
Okay, please, let the panelists please just pause for a moment. Sorry, Mr. Ladipo, please. Can you sit down? Cameraman, can you quickly take the pictures very quickly? Panelists, stay where you are, please. And in the meantime, lunch is about to be served, and it's only those that are registered that will have access to lunch. So please, if you did not register, do not make the accidental mistake of going in the wrong direction. That's an honest advice. Now, the syndicate group presentation is after lunch. I have 3. Please let the dignitaries go first. Excuse me, please. Let the dignitaries go first for the lunch.